So, welcome to our fourth edition of our weekly show. And our second international guest will be a guy from another neighboring country. This one will be Bulgaria. Metodi Shumanov, the guy who's known as Shumansko on Twitter, is talking to me today. And we will discuss two separate things, one very nice thing and the other that is not so nice. One of them is memories of the 1994 World Cup. Right about now is 28 years since Jordan Lechkov famously struck down the Germans and got Bulgaria to the World Cup semis. And now, and after that, we will come to present day and talk about the Bulgarian football nowadays, because it's really in one of its lowest positions ever. So, Metodi, welcome to our podcast, and can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hello, Vladimir. First of all, many thanks for the invitation to be on your show. Good luck with your show in the future. I'm a Bulgarian football writer. In my career, I've contributed to a few foreign media outlets, such as The Guardian, Sky Sports. Basically, whenever there is a good story to tell the people about from Bulgaria, from Bulgarian football, the incredible world of Bulgarian football, I would say. I'm often the go-to guy. So I've always been a football fan, and to be able to write and to report on football is kind of a dream job, as I'm sure you know as well.
When you said that Bulgarian football is really amazing, one thing I can tell you, I'm really jealous of you and our Romanian neighbors. Emanuel Roșu, one of them,
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
sure will be one of the guests within a month
sure.
or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
because football in Romania and football in Bulgaria is so much more fun than football in Serbia, because everything really is going on. You were really all in all the media with the thing about Tsarskoye Selo a month ago. It's not a good thing. So
well, usually we make the news for all the wrong reasons, you might say. Also, Alan Pardew, who was just recently in charge of CSKA Sofia. He resigned after the cup final loss against arch rivals Levski. So yeah, we we make the news, but more often than not, for not that good reasons.
Okay, so let's get back to the good times. 1994 was the best year in the history of Bulgarian football. Your national team made it to the World Cup semifinals, and it was not by chance. It was something that had been brewing on for many, many years with one fantastic generation. I will just mention a couple of names and the years that they were born. So you have Hristo Stoichkov, he was born in 1966, Penep, 66, Balakov, 66, Zlatko Yankov, 66, Kostadinov and Lechkov, 67. So within 2 years, you get a bunch of players who are such a quality that you are happy to have this kind of team within a whole decade. So they all grew up together. They played for the same junior sides together, and they came up to their best days at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Up until like nowadays, they are always saying that they are grateful for the system during the communist era. I'm sure you're familiar with it, all those sports schools and football schools, because that system helped them like become the players, and maybe because of the discipline. So they were really well trained, but then we have to mention that at the end of '89, when the communist regime fell, that opened the doors to European football for them, and that was the key moment, the key point for their development, because all the players you just mentioned, starting of course with Stoichkov, after a fantastic performance with CSKA in Europe, he was noticed by a certain Johan Cruyff, and he was signed by Barcelona. Then he went on to conquer European football, the World Cup stage. He won the Ballon d'Or. But I'm sure that like without the fall of the regime, all the changes that happened within the society, within the country, that would not have been possible. So like we could say that the stars aligned in a certain way. Those players were born within 1 or 2 years. They were part of the same golden generation. The system helped them become such good players, and then the opportunity came up to play abroad, to show what they are capable of, and to play with the best, and to get a taste of the European system, and to become better versions of themselves.
So everybody knows about CSKA and Levski and the rivalry and the huge history of both clubs. But at that particular moment, you had a very huge number of big players who used to play for small clubs, like Sliven, like Etar Veliko Tarnovo, like
they were champions.
Yeah,
yep.
Like Lovech, like Burgas. And people would come to big clubs only after they turn 24, 25, after getting used to being top players in their own clubs.
Yeah, true. And again, maybe the era and the age was helping the regional sides and the regional teams keep their players, because at that time there were like strong regional football areas, football schools, and players were not so tempted to leave their local clubs in order to join the capital sides. So they stayed at their local clubs. They played and performed at a really impressive level. Some of the teams you just mentioned, they played in Europe as well, played against clubs like Juventus. So they didn't lack this European experience either. And then when all those players were ready to make the next step, they joined the big Sofia Guns.
So just to put it into perspective, Balakov went from Etar directly into Bundesliga. Guys like Lechkov, Yankov, Kupchev went to Sofia clubs only when they turned 24, 25. They used to play for Lechko was at Sliven, and he won the Bulgarian Cup with Sliven, even though CSKA was that strong at the moment. Balakov went to Germany after winning the league in Bulgaria. So
true. I believe Balakov first went to Portugal, and then he went to Stuttgart. Yeah. But that's absolutely the case, as you just mentioned. Yeah, that was the time when something big was building, as you mentioned. So all those players, they were really talented, and they were given the chance to develop at their local clubs. And then they of course got the chance to leave those clubs for much bigger teams in Europe and abroad. Yep.
To stay with CSKA for just 1 second. So there is a generation that has guys like Stoichkov, Penev, Kostadinov, Plamengetov, he's still playing, Trifon Ivanov. They were all in the same team during the time of 88, 89, 90. They played one European Cup semi-final, one European Cup quarterfinal. Played with great teams. So that's a lot of experience for these young players at the time.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that was also the time they played Barcelona. This time I already mentioned, and that's true. Lubu Penev, who is the nephew of Dimitar Penev, and I'm sure we're going to mention the guy in a few minutes as well. Like there were a bunch of players with very strong personalities, we have to say, because we can also mention at this point or a bit later in our conversation that Lubu Penev didn't make it to the World Cup because he was suffering from testicular cancer. But he overcame that very serious illness. Then he went on to become champion of Spain with Atletico Madrid. He won the league and cup double with Atletico. He was top scorer at Valencia, and Stoichkov, Kostadinov as well. All of them were like very, very strong personalities. And Dimitar Penev, the coach, I could liken him nowadays to the father figure of Carlo Ancelotti or someone like that, because he was really good at man management. So all those players, they were very talented, but like with those fiery characters. So they were at some points, and sometimes they were difficult to tame, you know, but they were beasts on the pitch. Yeah.
So Dimitar Penev is taking up the national team in 1991, and then comes the great cycle from 92 to 94 when Bulgaria is trying to get to the World Cup. It is an interesting World Cup because Yugoslavia is under sanctions, so we don't play. Croatia still cannot play because they're too late for that cycle. Yep. And then Romania and Bulgaria come to the forefront. A very interesting group with the 6 strong teams. You never see such groups at this stage. You always have some minnows that get spanked around, but this time every single team was very good. You know, playing Absolutely. Israel or Austria, who were number 4 or 5 or 6 in the group, is really not easy. And you have Sweden and you have France in the group. France has not made it to the 1990 World Cup, so they are under enormous pressure. And then we get to the point at the ending of the group. We know that Sweden is going to win the group. And France has 2 home games. They only need 1 point. They play Israel, they play Bulgaria. They lose to Israel, and then we whole of Serbia remembers it very well because Serbia was not playing, so we were showing other games from that time, and we all watched the game, France versus Bulgaria at Parc des Princes. And the French only needed a point, and they had a lead through Eric Cantona, and then came Kostadinov.
Kostadinov with a brace, absolutely. Yeah, it was absolutely unbelievable because before that game, like the excitement, that sudden chance that opened up after Israel won on French soil, because nobody saw this coming. And
Eyal Berkovic scored the winning goal 3-4 minutes. No, it was 90th minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And out of the blue, we got the chance to go to the World Cup if we won at Parc des Princes against France. So Penev took the decision to organize a training camp in Germany in order to protect his players from all the media buzz and fuzz. So all the players went to Germany, and then on the eve of the game, it turned out that there were some visa issues and problems with Kostadinov and Lubu Penev. So the 2 guys who combined for that match winner in the very last minute were not supposed to play in that game at all, because back at the time they were playing in Spain. And I think it was some embassy issue, some legal issue, and their visas were not proper documents, or some problems with the visas, and they couldn't cross the German-French border. and the team decided to basically to smuggle them into France. Borislav Mikhailov, who is the current FA president, he used to play at Mulhouse, which is a French team near the German border.
Yeah.
So he was a very popular and familiar face to the German and the French board control. Yeah, he basically he got on this car together with Kostadinov and Lubopenev, and when the board, the board police, when they saw Mikhailov, they said, "Okay, you pass." They didn't check the documents, and this is the way Kostadinov and Lubopenev reached Paris, and that was the day before the game, and then, as you just mentioned, France opened the scoring, but suddenly Kostadinov equalized, and basically they decided, France decided that the best way to keep the game under control is to waste time in the very last minute, but suddenly they lost the ball. The ball reached Lubopenev, who gave an incredible cross to Emil Kostadinov, and Kostadinov scored that famous match winner in the very last minute past Bernard Lama.
In basically the very last second, so it was
in the very last second of the game.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And the Bulgarian commentator, a really legendary commentary on the game. So he started screaming, "God is Bulgarian, God is Bulgarian." And that phrase went into the Bulgarian folklore, and it's very famous up until now. Yeah.
So it was a great moment. I remember that when Kostadinov scored for 2-1, I heard my neighbors as well, because everybody was cheering for Bulgaria, and it was really, everybody was watching the game, and everybody was really happy. So within 6 months, Bulgaria goes to the World Cup. Yeah. It had never won a single game in the World Cup. Yeah. It had played 5 World Cups before that. They never won a single game. Mm. They go to the United States to play Argentina, Greece, and Nigeria. And they play Nigeria in first goal. Nigeria are debutants. Nobody really knows what to expect from them. And then Nigeria comes with all their guns. And they overcome Bulgaria very easily. They win 3-0.
They hammered us. Yep.
Yeah, it was one of the greatest games of any African teams I've ever seen. So yeah, it was 3-0. And from that point on, everything changes.
Yeah, there is one urban legend. I can't confirm or deny it, but let's tell it to your listeners. After the game, after that Nigeria loss, disastrous defeat, the Bulgarian camp was receiving the front pages of all the Bulgarian newspapers at the time by fax. They were sent from Bulgaria to the hotel in the US. So Stoichkov sold the cover pages of the Bulgarian newspapers the day after, and they were all screaming, "Shame on you! Bulgaria lost 3-0. Come back, you tourists!" Something like that. So he was really upset with the media. And the legend says that basically he got all the front pages and he nailed them on the walls of the hotel rooms. And he said, mark my words, we are going to have the last laugh. And that's what happened, because from that moment on, and as you said, the incredible thing is that Bulgaria, up until that point, they had never won a single World Cup game.
So by that moment, it's 16 games. It's not 4 or 5. It's 16 games without win.
Yeah. Yes. And you can only imagine, after losing 3-0 to Nigeria in that opener, what the pressure was like. But then we played Greece, and suddenly the pressure was gone. We beat them 4-0. And from that moment on, everything clicked within the team. As I just mentioned, Dimitar Penev, the coach, he was really like a father to the players. He was treating them like his sons. He was allowing them to chill in the sun around the swimming pool. Maybe that was part of the success recipe. I'm sure of it, by the way.
Let's be frank, we are all from the Balkans, so yeah.
Yes, yes.
that is the way, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to motivate your players, to give them absolute freedom, and that's exactly what he did over the next few weeks in the US. So basically, after beating Greece, they really started believing that they could do something big on that stage. And we have to mention that in the last group stage game, they had to play Argentina with Diego Maradona on their team.
You have Argentina, and then you go on to the hosts, Mexico, and then you go to Germany, and you pass through all that. So that Argentina game was very interesting because Argentina was protecting their result, even though they were 1-0 down. 1-0 was fine for them because they would stop the group with 1-0, and then they concede in the 90th minute. So Bulgaria gets the other way. Argentina goes out in best 16, and Bulgaria goes to Mexico.
Yes, true. And because I had the chance to interview Coach Dimitar Penev twice, and I asked him about that Argentina game, and he told me, look, because Diego Maradona had just failed the drug test, he was sent home, and he told me, look, when we walked onto the pitch during the warming up, and we saw the faces of all the Argentinian players, we just knew that we would win the game because they were so down because of Diego and the news that he wouldn't play, and that he would abandon the tournament, and maybe he would never play for the national team again. So that really motivated the Bulgarian players, and we beat them, Argentina, and I have to say that we really controlled the game. Stoichkov scored once again. Nasko Sirakov got his name on the score sheet as well. And then we had to play Mexico in front of 80,000-90,000 crazy Mexicans in the US heat. So Penev told me that it was like playing the hosts basically. Thousands of fans, but suddenly all those thousands of fans, like the Mexican players, were under enormous pressure, and they started feeling that pressure, and the game went to extra time. It ended 1-1. And it went to penalties, and all the Mexican players got shaky knees. They were afraid of the spot kick. And they missed a few penalties.
They missed the first 3 penalties, so it was basically all over.
Yeah, true.
From the beginning, and the history would prove that it was the first of the Mexican losses at last 16 phase, because they have gone from the group in every single tournament since, and they have lost every single last 16 game. They still cannot get to the quarterfinals.
Yes, true. Even though at some tournaments they are considered sometimes like dark horses for the semifinals or something like that, but that's true. Maybe their curse started back in the US in 1994. So we beat them on penalties. We celebrated properly around the pool, of course. With some barbecues, and next, reigning champions Germany were expecting us in the quarterfinals, and there was this story that no other than Franz Beckenbauer visited the camp of Bulgaria ahead of the quarterfinal against Germany. He was working at the time for a German TV channel, and he wanted to make some interviews with some of the players, the Bulgarian players that were playing in the German Bundesliga at the time. So Lechkov, for example, and he was amazed to see all of our players around the pool, so relaxed, just chilling. And he said, I'm sure that all the German players right now, they're training in the heat, they are preparing, they are being lectured on tactics, tactical discipline. And you guys, you're just sitting here, having the time of your life. He was so surprised by that relaxed approach, but in the end it worked out very well for us.
Many people forgot it about the 1994 World Cup, but in my memory it was the hottest World Cup ever, because it was sweltering hot all over the place, and they kept playing the games in Miami, in Texas, in California. So it was 35 degrees every single day, and I know very well, I was in America at about the same time. Bulgaria played Mexico and Germany in New Jersey. I was in New Jersey. And it was 35 degrees the whole month of July. So it's very, very hot. And, you know, I suppose that the swimming pool is the best place to prepare.
Absolutely. So it was during the Mexican game, it was so hot that I can tell you, some of the players who took the penalties told me this story that even our coach Dimitar Penev, he got confused who would take the penalty. So he was asking a lot of the players, "Are you ready to take a penalty?" And the player replied, "Sure." And in the end, he was not really certain who would take the kick. But anyway, we beat Mexico, and then against Germany. I still think that maybe this is the most impressive Bulgarian game of all times.
Surely, because even though Germans were ahead for the most of the game until 75th minute, Bulgaria was by far the better side. And then one goal came, and then the thing in the, what was it, 83rd minute, when Lechkov scored for the 2-1, and that was the moment when literally everything exploded, because I mean in Serbia most of the people always cheer against the Germans, so once the Lechkov scored, it was like fireworks all over the place.
I'm sure. Stoichkov equalized from a fantastic free kick execution. And he said many times that that particular day, one of his daughters was celebrating her birthday. And before the game, he had promised her that he would dedicate a goal to her. And he had 2 free kick chances before that. He missed them, and he said, okay, that's third time lucky for me, and I'm gonna score this one. There's no chance I'm gonna miss. And he really scored. And even my profile picture, like cover picture on Twitter, is that famous free kick from Stoichkov against Germany. If you see the German wall, it features all the German players. Like it's amazing pictures.
We're talking about Germany that won the World Cup in '90. Won the Euros in '96 and played the Euro finals in '92. So this is right between all those achievements, they are beaten by Bulgaria.
Oh, that success, absolutely. And a year later, Germany came to Sofia for a European qualifier. They were 2-0 up against us, and we came from behind to beat them 3-2, which, I think, like from the Hungary World Cup final, that hadn't happened to them. And it was amazing. Like we were this bogey team for Germany, which is incredible if you think about it. We managed to beat them, and the match winner was scored by Jordan Lechkov, and at the time he was playing in the Bundesliga, and he says that he wasn't treated well by particular German outlets, so he was really happy to score against them, to get his revenge on the Germans. And after the game, we had to play Italy next in the semifinals. Yeah.
So there's the third World Cup winner in 4 games, and the fourth game was against the host. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, incredible. So yeah, we had to play Italy, and I've talked to some of the guys from the team, and some of them, like even nowadays, they say, hinting at some like conspiracy theories, that because they are convinced that FIFA wouldn't let them play in the final. And if you see the French referee who was in charge of that semi-final against Italy, so he gave us one penalty, but there was this handball by Costa Curta, and it was a clear penalty, and we didn't get a second penalty. And Stoichkov was really upset. He refused to talk to this French referee decades later on some talk shows, and he said this thief, he robbed my and my nation's football dream, and I wouldn't talk to him. But anyway, like we played a fantastic World Cup, nevertheless. And even though we lost the last game against Sweden, of all teams, but they are our bogey team. We always lose against Sweden. It's very difficult to play against them. And when this team came back to Bulgaria in July, they were welcomed as national heroes. Hundreds of thousands of people welcomed them onto the streets of Sofia, and the whole country was in love with its football heroes.
So after that World Cup, Bulgaria played twice in the Euros and once in the World Cup, and it was all until 2004. And after that, a huge fall.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure I know the answer to that question, because we had some great players after that as well. The generation of Berbatov, Stilian Petrov, well, they managed to play at Euro 2004, but it remains our last appearance on the big stage. Well, I really don't know what went so wrong. We like in some qualifying cycles and campaigns, we were close to qualifying. We got close, but we finished third. We never managed to play in the playoffs. Even we got close to reach Euro 2020 through the Nations League playoffs, but we lost to Hungary at home, unfortunately. So it's been a very long time, 18 years. And yeah, it's been downfall.
Do you think that the huge rise of Ludogorets has something to do with it? Because Ludogorets uses so many foreign players, so that the domestic players don't play in the top club. I mean, Ludogorets has been winning the league for what, 11 years now?
Yeah.
Sofia teams have not won the league since 2009, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
It is really weird.
For sure, like the demise and the downfall of the Sofia powerhouses, like CSK went bankrupt. They played in the third tier. Levski suffered a lot of financial troubles, suffered from mismanagement, from signing the wrong players. They still have a huge debt. So both Sofia clubs are yet to come back to their best. And Ludogorets have taken full advantage of that situation. And it's true, they've signed a lot of foreign players, Brazilians in particular. They are often accused of not producing local talent, even though they have a strong academy. All those local kids, they're not being given the chance to shine within the first team. and for sure it's not a coincidence, maybe. Yeah, because we have to produce more local talent. That's for certain.
So do you think there is a way out of the crisis, and can we expect Bulgaria in some top tournament in the future of 2, 4, 6 years?
Well, for example, just 2 months ago, Bulgaria under 17 qualified for the Euros. They played there. They beat Serbia in the qualifiers. Yeah, so these guys, some of them already play abroad. Some of them are kids born abroad. They are kids from families who immigrated like to Western Europe at the start of the 90s after the regime fell. So I think that's part of the solution. Maybe all those kids who were born abroad and who could come back, like developed within Western European systems, let's put it this way, and to come back and to contribute to the rebirth of Bulgarian football. That would be a nice story to bring back something to the community. But that's a little light at the end of the tunnel, let's say.
Metodi, this was a very fun story. We will surely have to do it at least once more, sometime later this year, because there are so many topics. Thank you for being my guest.
Absolute pleasure, and good luck to your show. And we'll do it whenever you say. Always.
Thanks.